Hello students, in today's class we'll be talking about the age of Chaucer. Chaucer is said to be the father of English literature because of his contributions as well as the original English works has been started from his period. Chaucer is also called as the morning star of Renaissance. Chaucer is someone who has outshone every of his contemporaries by his writings. In this video, we'll be first looking on his era, the political backgrounds, then his life, then his works. Can we go to the class? In this era, he was born in 1314 in the London during the reign of Edward III, and he lived during the reign of Edward Richard II, and till Henry IV ascended the throne he was present. There was lots of social changes and contrasts during this period. So the Edward's reign marks the highest development of medieval civilization in England. So especially like midsummer English chivalry in England. So people had written a lot, and there are many. This charism, chivalry was the main themes of it. The spirit was romantic idealism. Romantic idealism. So even during this period, there were many foreign conquests being done, and there was victories added here, and king and nobility. But here there is another side of a picture also. Even though the trade expanded, the wealth increased, but there were people who went into lot of. They were always the uh, rift between the king, the nobility, and the other people. They had a very rich life, whereas these people had a good life, and the rest of the people had a very bad life. So the most important thing in this era was Black Death. So it swept nearly one-third of the population. So remember what will happen if, like our COVID, like we had a lot of COVID, how it was affected, even this modern era, how difficult we felt to face all these consequences. Like that, the Black Death, it came only 1 year from 48 to 49. Like it had swept more than one-third of the entire population there, and again it reappeared. How we had waves of COVID, even Black Death had three waves like 1362, 1367, and 1370. Next, there was also a famine. Just think of the people, like how they faced the death as there was a famine. So what will happen when there is food and there is no, like there is complete famine, no food? There were thieves. So many thieves were multiplied and tyrannous laws were passed. So what happened? There were many money as these people were going in war with the France. Many money. So where do the money for the government comes from? It comes from the people tax, right? So when there's enormous money spent on the wars, so to meet the expectations, even for the war they have to spend, even for the people they have to spend, so they did a very heavy taxation. So this when led to the general rising of Wat Taylor, Jack Straw, and John Ball. So these were the main things. So soon this widespread, there was complete social unrest throughout this era. So mainly these troubles like it increased during the period of Richard's, who was despotic king. So when the closing years of this had a lot of problems, and the lives when the Chaucer's closing life, it had a lot of the era when the closing period of Chaucer had lots of political unrest. So his life. So they're concentrating more on his life. His father was a merchant. So he was born into a very rich family only, and his father had a very flourishing business as a merchant. And when he was 17 years old, he joined as a page for the wife of Duke of Clarence. He is Edward III's son. And in 1359, he went to the war with the English army in France. What happened during that period of time? He was taken as a prisoner and he was ransomed at last. Later, he was left and he came back to England. And he was also sent to many diplomatic missions. And with this diplomatic missions in Italy, he got in touch with the Italian culture during the Renaissance period. And during the banishment of his patron, John the Gaunt, fourth son of Edward III, he was going into the poverty. But as soon as Henry IV came, he got his royal pension and he died in the year of 1400 and he was buried in Westminster Abbey in the Poets Corner. So Westminster Abbey is called as always it is there where all the poets of England is being buried there. So his poet is like he traveled a lot and he is known for many things out there. So all it has been connected with him. So in Chaucer's life, you have to mainly focus on the poet was twofold. Apart from literature, he also came from life. There were many autobiographical passages there. So that also we could take lots of things from his things. Many autobiographical factors are there in his life also. Moving on to his work. His works can be divided into three period of times because first is the French, Italian and English. So French, earlier it was modeled upon the French school. So his longest, first at beginning, his style was a bit clumsy and immature. So first work is Romance of the Rose, which was being adapted based on Le Roman de la Rose of Guillaume de Loris. It's just a fragment of 8,000 lines and it has been ascribed to Chaucer because of his Chaucerian style which is there in the book. The next work is the Book of Duchies. It is earliest and written on 1369. I said right when he was age 17, he was a page for the Duchess of Clarence. So she passed away. For that he has written this poem. The next other works which can be also there, Complaint into Piety and ABC and the Complaint of Mars. The second period is the Italian period. His technical ability has improved during this period and this type we could see the lots of perception his works has a greater stretch of originality even though it has been adapted we could see a lot of uh, original aspects his own unique features also there. First is Annalida and Arset, the Parliament of the Fowls. So this has a very fine opening and the characterization is very beautiful of the Parliament of Fowls and it shows this Chaucer's true comic spirit. Next is Troilus and Cressida is a long poem adapted from Boccaccio. It emphasizes on the character and it describes on the character's development. So here more description, the beautiful descriptions are there and the complex characters of Cressida and Candaris, how psychological development, how Chaucer's growing insight into human motives are being mentioned and it is held as Chaucer's best narrative work and it is written in rhyme royal stanzas with much dexterity and beauty. So next work we have in House of Fame. So this is the dream allegory of Chaucer. In this he is being carried by an eagle to the House of Fame and watched the candidates approach to the throne. So what happened? Some being granted their request and other being refused. Through the story is rather drawn out the allegorical significance obscure. So Chaucerian humor is being seen here. Here in this group is included called the Legend of Good Women. So this is the 19 affecting tales of virtuous women. So with it is like only he only finished 8th and 9th was only begun. So it's just an incomplete work of Chaucer. So this was the first well-known work of heroic couplet being used. So this is the Italian period of Chaucer. Next we'll go into the English period. So the English period, the most prominent work of Chaucer is the collection of stories in a framework that is none other than the Canterbury Tales. So it is 14th century. During 13th, 14th century, pilgrimages were very popular. So here also there are pilgrims going to St. Thomas Becket at Canterbury. These pilgrims meet at Tabar Inn, southwark of Chaucer. The inn owner, called Harry Bailey, he makes a proposal like each one should tell two tales on the way back and while going and coming back. So that people, because they have to travel a long time, those people travel, walk in pilgrimages, it would be boring, right? So you have to tell the stories. Even the innkeeper has been coming to the thing. So he's saying, best storyteller will be awarded a supper on the return. Prologue well explained. So the prologue of Canterbury Tales holds a very special space because it brings in all the characters together from the only the king is left out. Starting from the knight, clerk, everybody. He brings in till a peasant, all the categories, all the sectors of the people are brought together in this Canterbury Tales. All together going into a thing to the pilgrimage. First, some like military people, knights, squire, yeomen. Ecclesiastical means the church people, prioress, nun, friar, summoner, pardoner, and a poor parson. And we have people of the knowledge, clerk of Oxford. Clerk means a scholar of Oxford, a lawyer, a physician. Then the people of money. Franklin means a landowner. He owns a lot of land, merchant, shipman. And the people working, miller, cook, municipal, reeve, hardbagger, carpenter, wife. So all those people setting from the top, here he also criticizes the people, how they are there, how they are, the discrimination inside, everything is brought in together. So picture of men and manners of his time is being beautifully portrayed, starting from the dressing sense, how they dress, which color they dress, and how their nails are there, how their hair has been there. Each and every physical description of their clothing and their characteristics has been beautifully portrayed in the prologue of Canterbury Tales. So it was like lengthy work for 24 tales in his lifetime, but it was not completed due to some circumstances. So it's not original. There are many sources. Many sources we bring in this tales. So what happens? The most beautiful tale here. It's well known as Knight's Tale, which is heroic, chivalrous, and romantic. So what happened? There are two cousins who are completely like they're friends and cousins, Palman and Arcite. So what happens in the war? mm, they live in the city of Thebes. During a war, Duke Theseus take them to be captives. Both of them are taken as captive. Both of them is take sorry for the stammering, and both of them is taken as captives there to the where. So this is based on Tessidi of Boccaccio. So what happens? They're being just imprisoned in the tower of his palace. From the window they just see Emily, the beautiful sister of the duke's wife, so walking in the garden. So that moment both of them started fighting. I want Emily. Who will want Emily? So they become rivals in the they become rivals in that thing. And after several years, so what happened? Arcite is the grandson, like they give Arcite, but they are unable to endure his banishment from Emily. So he returns to Athens because he can't be away from Emily, right? So he returns to Athens in disguise and he be like in the Duke's service. So after several years, they again Palman escapes. Again they both fight for that girl. So the Duke is entered in his train as they ride to hunt. So what happens? Theseus dooms them to both on the dead spot. That what is that? The like even though they tell both also should kill, the ladies still don't kill these people. So what happens? He conducts a tournament. So what happens? They have to fight with 100 knights. So in that, Arcite falls and Palman wins and he marries Emily. So it's just an old age story how it goes on. Is it nice? Do you like the story? Yeah, modern. This nowadays this love story comes right. One girl, two boys fighting for that girl. So all this comes under that. So Chaucer is being mentioned as a court poet. He wrote only for the cultured readers, like people of who are learned a lot and cultured readers only. He has written, and he made like the day-to-day issues that inspired us was. So even though it favored few, it is like by comedy, pathos. It was completely enjoyable. He didn't write anything about plagues, famines, or discontent. Like he didn't make anything negative there. He was just in a satirical way. He just talked about it. Only in one dark side was only mentioned in one tale of nun priest tale, but the cock and the fox, which talks about the religious corruption around them. So he gives about the religious corruption. He mentions about religious corruption and even he gives a satirical note about that. And Chaucer is called as the morning star of Renaissance because his free secular spirit of his poetry. As I said, Renaissance, he just took inspiration from Italian people, Italian writers like Boccaccio, all, and he abandons Old English alliteration. So he just style of Old English he just abandoned, and he adopted French meter and endrime. So moving on to the other poets. Here is the first one is John Gower, and he was born in 1332 to 1408, and he is a very good friend of Chaucer. He was a man of means and he was a member of a good Kentish family. So the three main works of Gower, which is very noteworthy. The first one, and all his works are completely voluminous and learned. There is some dullness here. The first work is in the French Speculum Menditantis, and it was lost in a period of time and later it was discovered in 1895. The second work is Vox Clamantis. It is actually composed in Latin and it has an allegorical setting which talks about the seven deadly sins. And it is of octosyllabic couplet. He uses octosyllabic couplet So the style is like completely a bit of diffuse as well as its watery style in narrative, and at times, occasionally, it is brisk and competent. So he gives seven deadly sins, and there are lots of anecdotes which is, and those anecdotes tell how John Gower is a very good storyteller, and he has one of great smoothness and fluency. Moving on to the next poet is William Langland from 1330 to 1400. So he is called the poet of the people. Why is called like that means like he actually made his poems or everything dealt with the major concern of the people, the poor people. The first main work of him is the Vision of William concerning Pius the Plowman. It had a lot of manuscripts. It's completely of 15,000 lines. Think of it. 15,000 lines. It's divided into three texts like 2,500 A, B, and C. The first has 2,500 lines, and the B has more than 7,200 lines, and the C text has more than 7,300 lines. So what happens here? The poets get a vision, a dream vision of Malvern Hills, and there he go into a series of discovering scenes and having back that like where he goes to the dream and come back. There are completely all the allegorical figures there. So how he deals with them, and the mainly it is a pious how they restore the during the many incidents which follow the sufferings of the peasants their work, and it also exposed this main work of this to expose the uh, the voice of the church and record these struggles of the people, common people. And he mostly sketched beautifully the homely life done with sympathy and knowledge. So it's completely of sympathy, yes, in it. Whereas here, the style is of somber energy and it is completely serious, and it has an austere simplicity. And the form is curious. What he had done is he had revived the rhymeless measure as having alliteration as a basis of line from the old English style, and he has written it. They're all uniform in length and there is pause, and everything here he talks about the peasants. The struggles of the peasants has been allegorically described. Next poet is John Barber. So he is a Scottish poet. The major work of him is The Bruce. It's a lengthy poem of 20 books and 13,000 lines. So he records the struggle of the Scottish struggle for freedom from the year 1286 till the death of Bruce and burial of his heart in 1332. It's completely a heroic theme where it describes about the rise of Bruce. The central incident of the poem is the Battle of Bannockburn. That is a central incident of the poem. So it is mainly about the war and the Scottish struggles, and it's all about the Scottish poet, the Bruce. It was published in 1375. Moving on next to the prose writers. So this first prose writer we're going to see is Sir John Mandeville. What he did is he compiled and published a French book of travels between 1357 and 1371. It was translated into several languages including English. The style was sweet and clear with some colloquial touches. So, and actually it recorded the travelogues, like sort of travelogues here, it recorded that things. So it was accurately length and it had a great skill of writing. Next is John Wycliffe. As we dealt before, he took the major part in ecclesiastical feuds of the day. So the church. So as he has written many Latin books in support of his revolutionary opinions, and he has issued large number of pamphlets. He was just pointing out the mistakes of the church, how corrupt they are, how wise they are. So he issued a English translation of Bible, and it has been popularly attributed him because of it reflects completely his influence. He didn't directly made it. So the language was completely vigorous and pointed, and homely simplicity, and it makes it both wide and powerful. Thank you all for your patient listening. So in the next video, we'll be seeing about from Chaucer to Turtle's Miscellany. Okay, thank you.